Right, here we go. We're here for Unit 5, everyone. I know our time is just ticking along. We just have a couple of weeks to go. In this unit, we're going to focus on understanding different types of text. So we're seeing kind of a shift in gears here. Our first few units focused on what it meant to be literate. Information literacy, digital literacy, web literacy. In this unit, we're really focusing on what it takes to understand a variety of text. So we're kind of shifting away from that emphasis on technology that we've had in those first few units, now to really focusing on comprehension. And so what does it take to understand informational, procedural, persuasive, argumentative texts? Like I said, whether they're print or digital, because those are the texts that we typically use when we're trying to answer a question, when that beginning stage of information literacy. So in this unit, we're focusing on different types of text. This part may be repetitive to you, the difference between the different types of text. Maybe not for some people, it depends on your experiences. We're focusing also on sources of quality print and digital text, and then close reading and how it applies to reading mostly informational, although you could stretch it into procedural or argumentative texts. So we're not going to touch on narrative. Of course, that doesn't really apply to the topic of information literacy, but we will touch on close reading. Again, may or may not be new or familiar to you. So hopefully by the end of this unit, you'll know the differences between those types of texts. You'll know some places to go to find quality, informational, procedural, and argumentative text. You'll describe some factors that influence comprehension, and you'll be able to identify some vocabulary and some comprehension strategies. So really, this is the unit that focuses on reading. When you get to Unit 6, it mostly focuses on writing, presenting kinds of topics. So that's how those fit in together. I want you to think about what it takes to really understand both print and digital text. And you'll see here in just a few minutes when I talk about our live chat or our discussion board for this week, we're focusing on what it takes to understand those different kinds of text. Really, this unit focuses again on that comprehension, and the comprehension leads to understanding. So in this unit, you'll be reading the last two chapters in our textbook, first of all, but then you'll also read one article about close reading. And you can see in our Canvas course, there's a module that has a collection of articles. So you're welcome to go out and look for an article online and let me know if you find something that looks interesting and let me take a look at it. Or you can choose something from the folder that I have that has some articles in there. So you're just picking one. I try to include a variety of age levels, so find something that works for your age level. But if you have something specific in mind and you want to look for your own article, you're certainly welcome to do that. Just let me know ahead of time what it is you're going to be using. So you'll do some reading, you'll do some viewing. I'm going to ask you to pick one of the presentations on this list. And I, again, tried to include a variety so that you could find something that meets your needs. The first one, Potentials and Pitfalls by Nell Duke, I will be honest and say that maybe that is one of the longer ones for you to view on this list. But Nell Duke is fabulous. She's a researcher in the area of informational text. She's a professional friend, I would say, someone that I have worked with. We wrote a chapter for a book together, and we keep in touch when we attend professional conferences. And I just love the way she explains things. So that's my favorite one on the list, but I certainly understand if you think one of the other ones looks like it's going to be a better match for you. The second option, Close Reading and the Common Core State Standards, that actually comes from the Kansas State Department of Education. So that would be a good one if you're needing some more information on how close reading fits in with our standards. And then the other three videos come from different classrooms. There are videos I found on YouTube that I previewed that I thought were good quality examples. So if you want to see a real live example of a teacher implementing a close reading activity in the classroom, I would pick one of those. So they're all good. If you have time, watch them all. But I know that you have many things that you're doing. So that's a little preview of them. What I'm going to ask you to do for the close reading activity is to take the close reading article that you chose and the presentation that you viewed, and I want you to kind of mesh those together in your mind and then write about those. So I'm going to ask you to let me know which article and which video you chose. Summarize what you learned. So that's really, synthesize is probably a better word to use here, because I want you to pull together ideas from each of the sources, what you viewed and what you read, and create a kind of a summary of those. And I imagine that's a pretty good paragraph or two, summarizing the main ideas. And then I want you to have a personal response separate from your summary. So I don't want you to just tell me what you read or you viewed, but I want you in the personal response to tell me what that means to you, how that might be applied to your own teaching, what questions it made you think of, what personal connections you might have made. So you have two different parts, and if you label those, that would be helpful for me. Each part is a good solid paragraph or two or three, whatever you feel like is coming out that you want to share, for each of those, summarizing and then your personal response. We do have our discussion board for this time. And on the discussion board, we have two topics for that discussion board, and you can either choose to post the discussion board or participate in the Let's Talk number 3, which is on Thursday, June 23rd at 8 p.m. Hope to see some of you there. It's been a small group the last couple of times, but it's been good discussions, and if you haven't tried one yet, it's a lot of fun to be able to see each other. I'm going to ask you for your summary of chapters 9 and 10 in our textbook that you create a graphic organizer that summarizes your ideas that you found to be important from those two chapters as we finish up on our textbook. And then you're working on your part 3 inquiry project, and so that is also due. I know that is a part of that's a project that is takes a big effort on your part, and I know that our class has been condensed, so it's like a lot of things are due this time, this unit. And so remember, you have those homework passes. Don't hesitate to use those if you need them to get yourself a little bit of extra time. As we're looking ahead, we'll be shifting into Unit 6 in the next week, and our class does officially end on July 2nd. Now, I'm willing to extend that for people who have homework passes that you want to use for those assignments. So that is not a problem for me. I'm certainly willing to go a little bit extra past that time if you need to use that homework pass. So kind of be thinking in your mind and planning. The next 2 weeks are going to be pretty hectic in this class, but if you can hang on, July 2nd, you will be finished, and you can breathe a big sigh of relief. So, but again, those homework passes are there just in case you need them. So take care.